Welcome to NPCs of Tal'Dorei with myself, Oliver, Dungeon Master, and Dave.
Wait, stop. Why are you doing this bleeping?
Oh, I hired a bleeping dude, so now I can say things like, holy with a man on a roof, find the donkey.
That was extremely inappropriate.
Fuck. Welcome to NPCs of Tal'Dorei, reviewing episode 111, Entering the Walking Mountain, I think is the title I've given it. Myself, Oliver, and Dave would like to welcome you along. Now, sometimes on the show we say things like, there's a lot of combat in this episode, and the episodes are quite short. Well, not a lot happened. In this episode, tons of stuff happened, so I'll try and get through as much of the important stuff as possible.
Yeah.
Essentially, they start trying to find their way.
Oh, well, just so everyone knows, though, everyone knows that Critical Role is scripted. So they've had a few slow episodes, so they decided to put a lot of in the script, and it's good that they got through all that.
It's
and there's only 4 episodes left because they script everything.
Yeah, Vex let it slide. It's totally just all been written down, and 4 episodes to go.
You know, if it actually ends in 4 episodes,
there'll be conspiracy theories everywhere.
It already is. You can imagine it just stepping up a level.
Yeah. So basically, Vex was joking that it's all scripted and it's all going to end, and he keeps saying things in this episode like, this is the last time we'll ever do this, or this is the last time I'll ever, which is just part
last time we get on the broom together.
Yeah. But we don't know how many episodes, but it is probably around about 4 in my estimation.
I think the timing to end on the particular episode.
Yeah.
It feels that way because this episode had puzzles. It had a lot of, I would say, unnecessary things that you probably could
The mirror room was cool. I thought that was a cool puzzle. But
it was cool. I'm not denying it was cool. It's just it didn't really seem necessary.
So it's gonna have a bit of a filler, you think?
Yeah, it feels that way.
So basically, they start by searching through this giant titan that have been travelling through the city of Vesselheim. Essentially,
going towards it.
Trying to find Vesselheim. They start by going up a very, very steep incline where Grog decides to go crazy mode, rage mode, and just climb his way up using strength. Vex and Vex kind of follow as well. They search some more, and then Liam talks about how the Raven Queen's been on his mind constantly, just in passing, but I wrote that down. Halfway through his torso, they get a nat 20 from Keyleth, who rolls a nature check, and that is when they find the room with the mirrors.
Which, we mentioned the nat 20. This game they had really kind of flip-flop kind of it. They were nat 1s and nat 20s.
It was so polarizing.
Place.
Yeah.
It's just
there was no in between.
I think who was it? Liam said they've been blue-balled for the last 2 weeks. So all these nat 20s and 1s just stored up and it's just coming out.
Yeah, because obviously there was no episode last week due to Matt being sick, but he's looking a lot better, so that's cool. We love Matt and we want him to...
Apparently he's not. He's still pretty rough. I looked on his Twitter and he mentioned something that he's a little bit under the weather still.
Oh, right.
He just had to fake it a lot. Apparently it was...
Well, good job, man. I thought you were fine, yeah.
Yeah, he's not.
So essentially they find a room with a mirror and no discernible way out. So they go into puzzle-solving mode in classic Vecna style. They try a lot of things until they realise, I think it's with the use of heat, looking through the mirror, they can see highlighted behind them a couple of buttons.
So it's a puzzle room.
It is a puzzle room.
And this is one of those things I didn't think was too necessary, just a random puzzle room.
I've done that before, though.
Well, I know you've done that before, but they've had, in the past couple of episodes, they've had a few puzzles as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Feels like stalling tactic by Matt, but...
To me, I also kind of feel like with the campaign coming towards the end, Matt kind of wants to use all the colours on his palette. So he's throwing in a lot of social and combat and puzzles. And
you get a lot of puzzles at a lower level though, so you would expect him to go through all that when they reset the campaign.
True. Maybe he will. Oh, I actually kind of theorised that because on the bottom of Sam's tankard, on Scanlan's tankard, which he has every episode, had spoiler, Vecna wins on the bottom. I just thought it'd be interesting to if Vecna does win the battle, they could play the next campaign 100 years in the future.
I don't know I don't know how Matt would feel about that. I really don't know if Matt would be happy or sad if Vecna won. Yeah. I think it'd be a conflicted good that it kind of had probably an epic kind of end. But the good guys didn't win.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be really cool. I think that'll be really cool.
And it may very well come down to the dice. It may also come down to, as you know, a lot of the times a DM can have a failsafe. If it gets really bad, he can go, and then the creature comes in, or this happens, or this happens.
I hope it doesn't.
I hope it's
this boss battle decides what happens in the future.
I honestly think it comes down... Oh, yeah, I agree. It should come down to Matt's guile as the NPCs and the parties and the roles and the decisions they make. I reckon there should be no fudging for the end battle.
Yeah, no fudging for the sake of just having a happy ending.
Yeah, exactly. I think because D&D.
We live in a time where with movies and TV shows that people don't really want the happy endings anymore. They kind of want the kind of somber endings or the ones that don't go according to plan, like Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead. So many other shows just don't have that final live happily ever after ending.
And we also, at the moment, are seeing a resurgence of the anti-hero.
Yeah, exactly.
Deadpool and the underdog Spider-Man, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
People really enjoyed that. So essentially they find that the heat reveals the symbols. Grog theorizes that because Keyleth can turn into a fire elemental.
Fire elemental?
It's
a fire elemental?
A fire elemental. Essentially they think that if they mess up the buttons, there might be an incineration in this room. It looks a bit like an incineration room and the door is hot, so they think, well, Keyleth goes in fire elemental, then if it does, they trigger the trap, but it's not going to cause any damage kind of thing. So Grog was intelligent, which is out of character, but good.
I think with puzzles, you can't really play it.
Is it 6 or 7 his intelligence? 6, yeah.
6.
I've then got written, some other stuff happens, but I was distracted looking at Matt thinking how attractive he is, so I might have missed something.
This is the hardest thing about doing these NPCs, is people keep on getting get distracted by how attractive Matt is.
It's hard to do, man.
Because Olivia did the same thing. Like, I still don't know whether Matt's attractive. I'm like, just watch the game. Stop objectifying the players.
Essentially, they kind of blow some of the dust away. Keyleth uses a gust cantrip, and they find some more symbols. And eventually, they realise that they have to press them in a specific order that they saw, but reversed because they were looking for.
I had a lot of confusion around this.
Yeah, it actually took a good portion of
it took Laura giving Matt her actual numbers for him to say, yeah, you got it right. Yeah. Because there was just so much confusion around that.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with puzzles. I hate puzzles. You know this. I hate riddles, I hate puzzles. I just can't do that kind of thing.
I generally only throw a puzzle in if I feel like I've used the same themes too many times. I need something that's not a combat.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just one of those things that I just don't like.
Actually, don't tell anyone this, but I've ordering some hourglasses on eBay for some time-sensitive puzzles. Anyway, they press the buttons with Grog's slightly broken lance, which he had with him and felt like they should use, and woo! The mirror turns into a portal. Alright, they solve the puzzle. And through they go, where it closes behind them, and I spilled tea on my foot, and they essentially find...
That's a lot.
Yeah.
There's no coffee.
Yeah, no, it's not. I had all my coffee this morning. I'm only allowing myself 4 a day, so I had 4 in succession.
You don't want to live with him when he's on like his 6th pot of coffee.
You don't.
No.
My atoms dissipate and I turn into light beams. Kiki actually proclaims happily, it took us 111 episodes, but we finally beat a door. They managed to make their way through.
They will never beat that door.
They should be, Vecna should have a form where it just turns into a door.
I just had this thought in my brain, if they go like 100 years or something in the future, one of the characters find the block of Vox Machina, there'll be a chapter called the Mighty Door. They'll just be like, and then Vox Machina took on the door.
Well, here's an interesting question. What do you think are like the great tropes of Vox Machina? I think the door is one. I think life needs things to live. Obviously, the goldfish moment is another like iconic Vox Machina kind of thing.
I don't know. It depends on how this goes. Because they could be known as the heroes who failed, or the heroes who actually, succeeded.
And we'll see. We'll find out.
And if Vecna win, typically based on how narrative goes, history is always written by the victors.
That is very, very true.
So Vecna won't see Vox Machina in a positive light.
Yeah.
So they will win the people.
It'll be the story of the great leader Vecna, who inspired the world through his valor and vision.
While enslaving them and all that stuff.
Essentially now they find a room full of intertwining bridges, which I thought was reminiscent of the Orc Caves in Lord of the Rings. It had those kind of like interconnecting spider webs of rickety wooden bridges and stuff. Which
you mean the Hobbit?
Yes, I do mean the Hobbit.
Yeah.
Although isn't there one in Two Towers?
No. Oh,
with that downward shot that like goes.
I guess in if you think about like not Osgiliath, Where Saruman is.
Yeah.
Maybe there, but it's probably...
I think the end of Two Towers with the Ents has...
Yeah, it's got a lot of that stuff.
Hobbit has
but
more.
the Hobbit has more, but the Hobbit's not Lord of the Rings. Hobbit's less quality.
And then they gender split the party, where all the boys go one way and all the girls go the other way, and then they discuss it and decide...
Sexist!
And very sexist. But that was just coincidence. But then they decide instead to change their mind and all go together. And off they go to look for the temple inside this Titan.
So Grog has those gauntlets, and they have a connection with the Titan, whether that's this Titan or not, they don't know. But going to the temple, they think they'll get some answers. But.
Yeah, and Grog actually wonders if he gets close to it, his knuckles start vibrating more, and if he can use that to try and find where it is. But Matt says that he takes a few steps in that direction and nothing happens.
So on that theory, it's not. So.
And then Pike rolls a nat 20 on stealth, and for one very rare moment, she moves silently instead of clinking and clattering.
And it wasn't even actually doing it.
No, she wasn't there. Actually, here's an interesting thing that I want to ask you. At one point, they're playing, in one of the combats later on, they're playing Pike, who's not there.
Yeah.
And Vex has the character sheet, and they're trying to decide what Pike is going to do.
Yeah, because they agreed early on that both Liam and Laura would play it.
Yeah, but the question is, Vax was helping Vex make the decision on what Pike was doing. So technically that's two minds. Is that metagaming?
No. Well, they both agreed early on that both of them would make the decisions for Pike.
Okay.
So if that's the agreement,
then it's not metagaming.
I don't think it's metagaming.
Okay, that's fine.
It'd be metagaming if one of them agreed and the other one's helping.
Yeah, I suppose it was agreed upon with the DM. I suppose that's fine. I just thought that was an interesting point. Anyway, they go through. They still use Jenga as a code word, which is interesting. That was an episode, I don't know, 20, 30 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And they're still using Jenga, which is cool. Actually, no, it was more than that. It was like around about 60, 70.
I don't know.
It was a long time ago.
It was long enough for us to remember.
And then there's a short, small combat encounter where Matt does not pull the map out. Instead, he just kind of does it in his head, which I suppose makes sense because it was just a tiny little combat with some weak creatures.
But this brings up the question of when you bring out a map or not. Like we've got now a battle cam on our games, but you don't always bring it out. Sometimes you don't.
I think if there's like multiple units and a huge space, you need it. If there's like things that people can hide behind, you need it. But if it's just like, you're in a corridor and some guy comes up,
and assassinating them, we're chasing them, and then you roll for initiative and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it requires a map.
Yeah.
Although he does later pull out one of the beautiful Dwarven Forge maps, but that's not.
But I think that may be one of the problems that he has as well. Is that if he comes to an encounter he didn't plan for, so didn't build a Dwarven Forge, he won't bring out the battle map because he's reached that point that it's always he's got some design, he's got something built. But he's not like, here's a map, draw it, circle, like you do, that you can just improv a battle map. Yeah. So I think that's one of the problems he probably has.
Actually, I'm bringing out, because when I first started, I didn't have any of the fancy battle maps that I have now, so I just made one out of an A3 sheet of paper. But that was cool because you could like customize and put your own stuff on it. I'm planning for the next couple of sessions some full-on Ollie created dungeon maps for you guys. But yeah, I've also got like maps that flip over and I can just be like, they're in a forest, here's a forest with trees.
And I think that's one of the problems that Critical Role probably have, is that if there's a situation that Matt hasn't built, he won't do it.
Yeah, he won't have a map for it.
He won't have a map because he's reached that point that all the maps have to hit that kind of scale of quality. So
they end up finding the temple, they make their way through, and it's full of undead.
Very weak undead.
Very weak undead that Vax and Vex kind of
and Grog
deal with. Yeah. They seriously worry about having a long rest after that. Basically, they have an argument about, we don't have enough time, but we're leading to the final battle and we need our spell slots and hit points.
I think it's agreed upon they have enough time for a short rest, but not a long one.
Yes.
But they didn't need a long one because they're being really cautious so far not to expend anything.
Yeah, Keyleth talks about how she didn't specifically, was most I'm not going to use a spell because we need these spell slots.
Yeah. So, they have a lot of these conversations throughout this episode. They have about 3 of what do we do? What should we rest? Should we do? They're very indecisive because they're being so careful.
I think they're very aware of the stakes at this point.
What's the last hurrah?
So we've seen Vox Machina get foolhardy with we don't need a rest, we'll just go and fight. But they know that Matt's going to throw something at them this time that's not going to be easy. Then inside the temple they find a crystal. Which they decide to steal because it could be important.
Vox Machina.
Because Vox Machina.
I should really say Laura Bailey.
Yeah. Can I'll edit this. I'll just have Laura Bailey when you do that. Just do it again.
Yeah.
Laura Bailey. Yeah, that was cool. It's going to look stupid. Anyway, they go and they decide to find...
We're two idiots in front of the camera talking about a Dungeons & Dragons online game.
It's pretty nerdy.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Anyway, they decide, Scanlan wants Vex to go in with his stealth and steal it, but the rest of the party wants Scanlan to use Unseen Servant, or Simon 2, to go in and steal it. And eventually they kind of outnumber Scanlan, and he says, okay, fine, I'll use Unseen Servant, and off he goes.
Simon 2.
Yeah, Simon too. That was the other thing. In the room, we see Simon. We see Simon for the first time in like 30 episodes. Vex's snake belt. He turns the belt into a snake and talks to it. I forgot to mention that, but it's in my notes.
Yeah, that was very surprised. It's like
I hadn't seen that in so long.
No, it's really weird when they bring it. It's like kind of. It's like Dragon Ball Super. If you watch that, is that they throw in like so much nostalgia stuff that it's like, oh, that's a throwback to that, it's a throwback, but they've only done that for a throwback kind of thing. You didn't really need to bring in that belt at all.
Another thing Keyless did in some of the combats in this episode was, and I think this is because they're leading towards the end, was like, I've never used this spell, so I'm going to use it. I think she was kind of like, I have all these spells, I've never used this one, so I'm just going to use it because we're coming towards the end of the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, the level was 18, I think.
Yeah.
Might as well use everything they got.
Yeah. So essentially, Scanlan's Unseen Servant, Simon 2, goes in with a handkerchief, steals it. Only 2 of the undead actually notice it being taken away. The rest are kind of, and then Vex and Vex...
They're not smart.
No, and Vex and Vex just annihilate them very, very quickly. Grog throws a lantern, which sets fire to distract them. They're travelling and they find hundreds and hundreds of skeletons of undead dwarves. Obviously, too large an army to take on themselves. They go another way and they find 3 hooded figures coming through this weird like oval shape in one of the walls. One of them carrying the symbol of Vecna, and they kind of freak out like, oh my god, is that Vecna kind of thing. Roll initiative. Off it goes. And
will Vecna be ego enough to wear his own symbol?
Yes.
He probably will.
His whole quest was to become a god.
Yes. So he probably wear his own like brand.
Yeah. Has Jason told you about his character that he wants to play in one of our games?
No.
It's a charisma based paladin, like a very, very self-involved paladin. It's going to be fantastic.
What, kind of like Tyrion?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So it's kind of like Tyrion.
So anyway, they roll for initiative, and that's when the beautiful Dwarven Forge map comes out. So obviously this is an encounter that Matt had planned for. And they have the Sphere of Annihilation, this which I've not seen very often. It's a high level invocation. It's at least level 6, I think, judging by one of the spells that fails. Sphere of Annihilation is just a great word. It's like Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So Grog essentially just goes, oh shit, everyone look out, that's the Sphere of Annihilation. He just makes a dex save to get out of the way. And Vex makes a con save and rolls a 1.
Which is the trend of this episode, either a 1 or a 20.
Yeah. Kiki uses Ice Knife, which was the spell that she hadn't used before, but she just thought, getting towards the end of the campaign, I'll use Ice Knife. And she does.
Well, it's just a knife.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it does like 1d6 of damage.
Oh, 1d6?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's slightly,
daggers normally do like 1d4.
Yeah, so it's slightly better than a regular dagger because of the ice, but 1d6 to these guys who do like 7d10 fire damage with fire spell kind of stuff. And the guy... there's the wall of... Yeah. There's the wall of force, which appears...
Oh, yes.
It causes great distress.
Yeah, that took a while to figure out how to get past that.
Yeah.
And because once they actually got it down, technically only Grog could know it was down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did take them a while, which... Yeah, they used quite a lot of spells in this one as well, so... Which is going to be a real question of what's going to happen next time of how they can do it.
They really did expend a lot of spells.
They definitely will do a short rest, though.
Yeah, have to.
But I guess the reason why they're saying they haven't got time for a long rest is because they want to attack Vecna before they get to Vasselheim.
Yeah.
Because Vasselheim will be destroyed.
Yeah.
So some of them are just like, well, a long rest is more beneficial, so we kind of have to sacrifice
Vasselheim. It's one of those decisions. You'll know if you're a D&D player that if your actions have ramifications in the world, but so do your inactions. If you take too much time getting to a certain boss or let things happen,
So technically, they could still have a long rest.
Yeah, it just would put Vasselheim.
They basically will lose Vasselheim.
And that means a lot to them. Vasselheim. So
and that's what would you do?
Well, this brings me back to Life is Strange and the decisions I had to make whilst playing that game.
Always back to that game.
I would say Vasselheim.
Save Vasselheim or sacrifice Vasselheim?
Save it. I would go after Vecna and maybe just take a short rest. It's a tough choice to make. What would you do?
First instinct would be to save Vasselheim.
Yeah.
but that would really depend on how the team's looking.
Yeah, okay.
Because if the team can't do shit,
there's
no point.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to sacrifice it. So based on where they're at the moment, I'm unsure of what I would do. I would probably lean more towards taking a long rest, but I would basically go for every single player and ask where you're at.
This is the mind of an analyst right here. He worked as an analyst for quite some time.
Yes.
Essentially, the guy that want to kill runs, but Scanlan gets through, and once he's through the wall of force, the guy kind of stops and turns like, okay, now it's time to deal some damage. However, Vox Machina does some cool stuff. Big Beast hand.
Sorry, you're right. Vox Machina does some cool stuff. Wow.
Well, I don't know. Most of my notes about how hot matters.
We normally don't go for the battle and so much Unity detail.
No.
So, like, all...
Basically, Scanlan uses...
A lot of
Big
stuff
Beast
happens.
Hand. Yeah. Some 18s, 18 hits, punch the wall down, Big Beast hand at level 7. Then Scanlan, after the fight, they knock the guy unconscious, decides to try and take control of the Sphere of Annihilation, and just goes up to it and says, I command you! And takes 30 points of force damage as it goes, no you don't.
Yeah.
And fucks up the side of his face, and there's a lot of like Two-Face references and jokes there. He tries again, because, hey, who needs hit points?
He's got a lot of hit points. Have you seen Scanlan's?
180?
Yeah, something like that. It's quite
180.
high. And if they're going to do a short rest, and he's still pretty high, yeah, might as well.
But essentially on the second roll, he makes a 30 on his constitution, so he takes control of the sphere. Now they've got the Sphere of Annihilation, which can drill essentially through any surface, but only the size of the sphere itself. They then the end of the episode comes when they want to use Zone of Truth, which is a very popular Eyes of Elisia spell. Black Winter Nights, they used it a lot as well.
No.
Zone of Truth and Speak
D&D,
to Undead.
just a popular D&D spell. They just don't happen a lot in Critical Role.
Yeah, so that they essentially decide that they're going to bring these guys back. Pike's going to bring them back using Raise Undead, Talk to Undead, and is it Keyleth? It's Keyleth, isn't it, that has Zone of Truth?
No, it was Vex.
Vex is Vex?
No, it was Paladin.
Oh, right,
Vex.
yeah, Vex.
Yeah.
Vex will use Zone of Truth, so they want to bring these guys back and interrogate them. And that is... Pike goes to use a spell on them. Goes to use Talk to Undead. Falls to her knees, grabs her head and screams and takes 31 points of psychic damage.
They're a dick to Ashley when she's not around. They're a dick to Pike.
Pickle, as they call it.
Yeah. So it was a good episode.
A lot happened.
It did feel like a full episode to me. A lot happened, but not really a lot of significant happened.
Anything integral.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you missed this episode,
you're still caught up.
You're still really caught up, so that's one thing I'm thinking that they are dragging it out, but I don't know whether that was because they've taken the wrong path,
right,
or whether that is intentional.
Yeah, trying to
don't know.
Line it up, but it was a really fun episode, and if you do have time to go back and watch it, I mean, it just had some cool moments. There was a lot that happened. My notes, instead of being like this much, were a page and a half.
He's actually written more notes this time than he probably ever have, and I've written the least amount of notes I've ever had.
Yeah.
It's really weird, kind of.
I think Twilight Zone kind of thing.
But yeah, 1-1-1.
That's the episode. I'd just like to say at the end of this how much Critical Role does mean to me. It is a joy to watch this every week, and it's a really lovely group of people. The critic community is amazing. I've seen you guys stand up and help other people in the community.
Especially during the hurricanes and everything.
During the hurricanes and all that kind of stuff. You guys have provided a lot of support for each other. I think it's absolutely awesome and beautiful. And thanks for watching NPCs Tal'Dorei. If you enjoy what we're doing, like and subscribe, comment down below so we can talk to you. Because I've got nothing else going on in my life.
And like thumbs up and all that stuff.
But that's NPCs of Tal'Dorei for this week. We'll be back next week with episode 112, accelerating towards the Battle of Vecna.
And 4 episodes.